Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm David Guillaume, Executive Director of Dublin Arts Council. My pronouns are he, him, his. Tonight, we have the privilege of spending time with artist Ilan Averbuch for a behind-the-scenes studio tour and a sneak peek at the progress of The Boat in the Field, Dublin's newest public artwork, which will be installed this year in Dublin's ML Red Treview Nature Reserve. Dublin Arts Council's mission is to engage the community, cultivate creativity, and foster lifelong learning in the arts. Dublin Arts Council defines community as those who live, work, visit, play, and learn in Dublin. You are all part of the process for realizing public art in Dublin. To kick off this event, I'd like to introduce Dublin Arts Council's Public Art Manager, Ava Morgan.
Thanks, David. Hello, I'm Ava. My pronouns are she, her, hers. For those listening in tonight, I have blonde curly hair and I'm wearing a burgundy sweater. I'm joining you from my office at the Dublin Arts Council building. This building is located on the unceded land of the Hopewell, Shawnee, and Wyandot peoples. I ask you to join me in acknowledging the Hopewell, Shawnee, and Wyandot communities, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. Dublin Arts Council also acknowledges that it was founded upon exclusions and erasures of many Indigenous peoples, including those on whose land this institution is located. This acknowledgement demonstrates a commitment to beginning the process of working to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. Just a bit of housekeeping. Tonight's event will be recorded and posted at dublinarts.org/theboatinthefield. The link will be available on our screen at the close of our conversation tonight and can also be accessed on the Facebook Live event page. The recording will be posted as quickly as possible. This evening, I have the privilege of introducing Ilan Averbuch. Ilan is a public artist based in Long Island City, New York. His artwork is featured in public spaces and collections in the United States, Canada, Israel, India, and Europe. His large-scale artworks are made from materials such as stone, wood, steel, copper, lead, glass, and aluminum, and often include recycled materials. Ilan has been selected for 9, is that right? Or have there been more major public commissions? We'll let Ilan.
No, many more.
Many more than that, okay. Within the past 5 years, maybe I should have stipulated that. So Ilan, thank you for being with us tonight and for inviting us into your studio.
Hello, and I'm right now in my office where ideas are brewing, and you can see if I move a little bit, the drawing that I did for the public art that we are talking about. It's on my back wall. There was also a model at a certain point here. And I will I'll answer some questions here on my computer, and then I'll take you with my phone to the rest of my living place and my studio. They are not quite separable. So we will walk, we will go to my kitchen, we will look from the window at what I'm working outside, and then we can go down.
Perfect. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing the progress and also getting that sneak peek in your living and working space. So thanks for being generous enough to open that to us. Just so everybody knows that's tuning in, over the past couple of weeks, we've invited the community to submit their questions regarding The Boat in the Field and Ilan's process as an artist. So I'm just going to present a few of them now, and then we'll get mobile and move around the studio space. So just kick us off, Ilan. Can you talk about how you decided to become a public artist, or what interested you in public art to begin with?
So like everybody else, when I started making art, I showed it in all kind of venues like galleries, and they are limited. The context is limited. It's usually the artist's mind, the white cube. And I was always looking for something more larger context to build my work in, something that creates a conversation between me and something else. The galleries are concentrating on the person's world. Galleries shows work for 3 weeks and then it's over. And I was very interested in very large public work, which I grew in size in the gallery to probably the maximum you can get. And then I started looking for venues that I can be outside, not for 3 weeks, but for long duration, years, and something that will speak to the context of an environment. And so that's how it started.
Nice. Yeah, we often talk about public art being a conversation. So I like that you put it that way. Can you tell us what a typical day in the studio looks like for you?
So, I have an unusual setup where I live above my studio and I have next to where I live at my office. So there is no separation really between all my parts. So I spend a lot of time in the studio, but I also in my office, that's where I work on the computer and answer questions like I do now. And I have my drawings done here, and you can see on my right I have lots of books, and here I can take it. That is my assistant who's going to help me, but you can see that's Mark. You can see I have books, and then if I take it to the other side, you see a lot of pictures of many past works on the wall, and so they are all kind of point of reference to what I do. And then, so I spend time here early morning, then I go down to my studio downstairs, usually at 9 o'clock when my assistant is coming. And there I kind of try to create what I planned upstairs. And it's a slower process and it takes its time and it's more, you have to be organized and structurally based. And it's not a world of dreaming downstairs. Here I can dream, downstairs I have to work. So that's my day, and it's usually a very kind of structured day. And my assistant leaves at 5 or 6 o'clock, but I continue here again in my office. That's it, till dinner.
Nice. So is your office space, the space that you're in right now, is that pretty much a private space? People know to leave you alone when you're in that space?
Yeah, that's the place where I am, sort of with myself. And when you do big sculptures, you have to work with other people and that help you and things like that. So the office is more where I am with myself, with my books, etc.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like a great space, and we can't wait to see what's outside those doors. So here's a question about a material, and it looks like this person probably has looked at your other work and noticed that you used corten steel pretty regularly. So how did you become interested in working with that, or what draws you towards it?
What is corten steel? Corten steel is a steel that have a certain percentage of nickel in it. And what it does, regular steel, as you know, rusts, and over many years stop existing because it rusts. Corten steel also rusts, but it have a property where the rust stays only on the surface and become like a protective layer. And so I work with steel, I work with corten steel, but for public work, where the work have to be for longevity for many years, it's the best corten steel because it's something you don't have to maintain, you don't have to paint it, and it have, in my opinion, beautiful color, this rusty orange color, and no maintenance. So that's really the idea behind corten. That's why I do public work with corten. It's more expensive, maybe 1.5 times regular steel, but it's worth it.
Nice. Yeah, I really do love that color, especially in natural backgrounds. I think there's beautiful contrast with that kind of rusty terracotta color. So in a similar vein, can you describe how you work with your materials? So you're working with a lot of hard the steel and stone. What is it like to manipulate and work with those materials?
So, yeah, and one of the reasons why, I don't think I made a sculpture with only one material. It's always more than one material, so sometimes two, sometimes three. And I also think of materials in terms of colors, how we spoke about the Corten steel as a beautiful rusty color. Stone is different. The granite is either gray or pinkish gray. And it works for me very well with the color, the warm color of Corten. Now, how do I work the two together? When I work, like in this sculpture, it's steel and stone. So with steel, the steel is usually structural. It's what holds the whole sculpture together. Think of it as the bones of our body. And you can't just do things temporary or something like that. You really have to follow the rule of working with steel and how you cut it with things like plasma or oxyacetylene. You then weld it with a MIG welder or other welders, and it really have to be up according to the books, as a structure. And then I add the stone to it. The steel usually hold the stone, which this is untraditional because traditionally stone held themselves. When we had an arch, it was an arch of stone and the stone were pushing each other and that was it. So with in modern days where we can work with steel as the structure, the stone can be, even if it's big stone, can be clad onto it. And so when I put this big heavy stone up in the air, like in this case, the boat is made of stone, it's a surprise. We all know that stones are heavy and we kind of question, how is it there? And that's the magic. So the steel is more the cerebral, and the stone in my case is more the magic. How are they there? I usually with steel, not always, but with steel, I have to buy it new because I have to know how good it is, and it cannot have blemishes and things like that. With a stone, I can take old stone and then have the patina of the old stone and connect them to the steel. And so you have something that looks old. So you have a new and old. So not just two colors, but also new and old. And all those things are part of my vocabulary.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of contrast, balance, and harmony involved in this piece. And I think that's what makes it so exciting. We got a question today. We had a couple of visitors here at the Dublin Arts Council. Excited to tune in to tonight's event. And they were curious about the installation that's going to happen on the site. Curious about how you imagined this installation happening, just logistically. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, the problem is that there is no major road leading to the spot. So we will bring the sculpture to a location in the park where we can unload it with a big semi-trailer. And then with the help of forklifts that can drive on those asphalt passes through the park, we will take the pieces and bring it to the location and place it on the floor. The piece will come from my studio already in pieces, like a big Lego. And then I take those, I start by building a big table, if you want. You will see it later. And I place the boat structure on it. I start with some of the stone, connect them to the steel, and then I place the legs that hold it up in the air. All that happened on top of a foundation that we have created a month or so before, so that we have a floor to stand on. And then once you have all those vertical legs, if you looked at the images, and we have some, and the structure of the boat, then we will continue with the stone, finish the stone, and then place the roof on top, weld it on site, and then we are done.
Great. I can't wait
It
to
sounds
see
easy,
that.
but it's not.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be very complicated, but well orchestrated too. So we'll make sure that we're documenting that for everybody. And of course, you can check out the installation as it's happening in real time at the site. Couple more questions and then we'll get up and move around. This one is, how did you come about recycled stone from St. John's Cathedral in Cleveland?
That was a wonderful thing, because you always want to have something off the place you're going to work, and I'm trying very hard always. So I said I will try to get some stones from Ohio somewhere, and not that they are different than the stone in New York, but still, there is some kind of added meaning to it. And I have few places where I get my recycled stone. They usually call them stone farms. These are places with awareness of, nowadays there is awareness of that all the old stones that were building, were part of the building of the roads of America, the bridges of America, should not be just thrown away. They are beautiful and so on. And so there are those stone farms where they sell recycled stone. And you can see they're part of bridges, part of roads, all kinds of things. They're very curious places and very wonderful to go to visit. So I went to one of them in Connecticut. And I was just reconnaissance, traveling through this stone. I called the one place and I went to this one in Connecticut, which is the nearest one to me. It's an hour and a half. And I saw stone that I liked very much. They were beautiful granite. They were a little more clean and more kind of cut in a beautiful way. And I asked, where are those stones? Meaning to buy them. And then the answer was, they are from Ohio. And so it just happened. And so it's a wonderful coincidence that worked well for me this time. And yeah.
Yeah, and it's beautiful stone. I'm glad it worked out, and we love that it's recycled. I think that's a great fact.
Yeah, they were the steps. They were the steps of the cathedral, and they had leaks between the steps, and they tried to close the openings with silicone and all kind of thing. And when it didn't work, they decided to rebuild the entrance steps. And they took them away, and that yard bought them because people sell them. And I got them, and it was a kind of and the first thought that I have about it is how many people got married on these stones, in the cathedral after your wedding, and you're standing there and waving, and that was kind of a part of the fun.
Yeah, that's really sweet. It's a really great component of this work that lends itself to that just imagination and curiosity that we know public art evokes. It's great. So one more just kind of big concept question is, how did you come up with this idea for the boat in the field?
So I have a library in my head of images, of all kinds of images. My last sculpture was a very tall ladder. That was not the only time I did a tall ladder made of stone and steel. But one of the images that I work a lot with is a boat. And it started when I was 14 years old. I saw a movie with Anthony Quinn, who is a castaway on an island, and he builds a boat from remnants, and then he goes back to the Napoleonic War. And I went and decided I'm going to build a boat. And so I scavenged a lot of material and built a 16-foot boat. It was a rowing boat. Now, I have to say, I didn't live by the sea, nor did I live by a river. So what was it to build a boat in the middle of no river, no sea? I guess it was art, but I didn't know about it at the time that it's art. I just built a boat, created some kind of a cart that can carry it, and tied it to my bicycle and took it to the river 1.5 miles away. So that image is big in my mind, and I keep coming back and forth, and I built a lot of sculpture that refer to boat. And I do have boat now. I have a sailboat. And so here, what happened is when I came to the park, and we work in, first I didn't know if I'm the selected artist. we walked through the park, we looked at the possibilities in the park. And then when we came to the pond, I thought, wow, this is such a great place for some kind of an unusual boat. And but they couldn't really, they didn't know where to put the boat there. And then we drove away from the pond and we came to this crossroads that there was no, you couldn't see the pond from there. You saw the crossing of two trail. And I really thought this is a wonderful place to kind of place an announcement, you know, we are going to see a pond. So that was one thing. The other thing is all kind of other questions that we all live with in our mind, the rising seas, you know, and the problem that we have with the world get hotter and hotter. And so the idea became more complex. It's not just a boat, but the boat that looks like on stilts, and the reference are many. And it's up to the visitor to kind of give meaning to what they see, you know. So to some, it will be just a creature that looks like a boat walking with legs. To other, it will be maybe reference to the Noah Ark, you know. And so it's endless. The amount of our imagination is endless, and everybody have his own. And so what I expect is people to come look at it and come up with their own interpretation and their own stories that come out with their world of association, like I have mine.
That's great. I love hearing that this was really like, you know, years in the making that dates back to your childhood fascination with boats. We did get a, not so much a question, but just a comment coming in live from Jaren, who says she loves the juxtaposition of the boat with no actual water. The observer can bring the water or the stars, which is kind of fun. So we'll leave this open for more questions to come in real time. But I'd say if you're up for it, let's get up and move around the studio.
Okay. I will move from my computer to my phone, and it will be less
Sure.
Beautiful, but it helps to take us around the space.
Yes,
And,
give us some legs.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of go by, and you could see the drawing. That it's a large drawing, very similar to what the work will look like in the end.
Perfect.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so I have to. That's because two together. Am I? I just need to change direction here. Need to not to see myself, but see. Sorry. Here. Oh, there we are. Okay. So now I'm going to take you. So first, I will kind of come close to the drawing so you can see it from not very far. And you see, I drew it twice. I drew the sculpture, and I drew a close-up in the background. So that's like you see the way you will see it when you stand very close to it. And then I have a lot of other things that I work with here, you know, and you keep taking photograph, manipulating them. That's the photograph I think you are familiar. But so this is how I kind of work with that. And now I'm going to walk out of my office to my space. So this is my, you know, it's, as I said before, it's hard to call it a living area or what it is, but you see, that's my parrots, and here is my place, and I have some very large sculptures here, and I have some small sculpture that I built in the past and more drawing, and you can see here You see me in the mirror, but you see another sculpture called The Loneliness of Two Trees. And as you can see here, this is my living area, and that's a sculpture, an early sculpture with wood and stone. I already worked then with those material. And now we are going through my kitchen through the window. And from the window, you can see, well, this is New York, and this is both the way it is sitting on a table-like. It's a very large table, and you can see the first column, the first steel column that will hold this boat up in the air. Once all the columns will be there, we will take away that table, and then it will be, and we will put the roof. So that was for that question. And what you could see here that you see is the steel structure of the boat. But if I take you to the right, you see there is a whole pile of skids with plastic covering all the stone. In other words, I finished the stone already, took it apart, and packed it ready to ship to. That was a very long work that took months. Now we took that boat out from the studio, put it in the yard where I can go higher. This sculpture is going to be 18 feet, so we have to be really high. 18, no, more than that. It have to be high, and so I have to build it outside. So that's what you see here. The structure of the boat is the first column, and on top of it there will be the roof. So Eva, shall I go down to the studio and show you the studio where I started work, where I worked on it? Or
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd love to see it.
What's that?
We would love to see that. I
Okay.
cannot tell you how incredible. I mean, just seeing the boat erected like that, it already feels like magic. So I'm
So
sure
I'm
everybody
taking you-
is oohing and awing.
I'm taking you 2 floors down, where is my workspace. It's not as beautiful as the upstairs, but it's not supposed to be beautiful. It's where I work, and it's usually very dirty. Today we cleaned it for you, so to make a good impression. Now the studio, and you can see here the sculpture. So in the beginning, I drew the bolts on the floor, and first I drew the sketches that you saw upstairs.
I think our connection is weak with
Okay,
you.
I guess the connection was there. Anyhow, you saw the drawing, and now I'm walking outside and going into the backyard that you saw. And here you see, if you can see the boat. Now we are almost done there. And also you can see here, those are already the columns. The columns are all ready. They have a kind of a bend. And you see the first column, the way it goes up. We just put it today. And you can see the structure. And you can see that table that holds the whole thing, which it's all with bolts. And then when we finish, we just take the bolts down and take that away. And here, those are the remnants of the cuts of the stone, from which I'm going to do these mosaics on the floor that sits under the sculpture. So instead of throwing the cut off, we will create a floor that will be in the bottom of the sculpture. And the rest you can see it's the stones are in under and we take it all from here with loading it on a truck and then do the reverse things in Ohio and Dublin. Do you have any questions or?
Well, I just have to say, I have goosebumps just seeing it in this state right now in your backyard. So I am so excited to see this come to Dublin. Cannot believe the progress that's been made. I don't believe that we received any questions during the event. So I will just remind everybody that if you do have a question for Ilan, please feel free to submit that to our social media, or you can email me, morgan@dublinarts.org. And we're going to continue the conversation with Ilan, and we'll have those responses posted at a later date on our website. I think just for the sake of time, we'll stop there. But Ilan, I want to thank you so much for inviting us into your studio and for sharing your process with us, the sneak peek, the tour. It's so exciting. I cannot wait to see this come this summer. So everybody stay posted. We're going to keep you updated on the latest progress with Ilan and the boat in the field. And I want to thank everybody who did submit questions and tuned into the event. As members of the community, you play a vital role in realizing public art. You are the reason for our mission, which is to engage the community, cultivate creativity, and foster lifelong learning through the arts. So again, stay tuned for more details on the installation and public dedication for the boat in the field. It's slated for later this summer. So once we have those details, we will let you know. And thank you so much, Ilan, for your time. We really appreciate it.
Bye, I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.